Hello there, everyone. Right now, it's 12:01 on Thursday, December 30th. Oh, someone recently asked me advice. I thought it would be good to share it with everyone. Found someone passed out on the beach. It helps to speak with them and make sure they're okay. Do it several times if necessary. We must all do our part to keep the island safe. You know, it's funny. We went from one set of repeated dialogue to a different set of repeated dialogues, but this time they're all based around, like... Right, like, this is tutorial based, right? Like, you know, I'm gonna... They're all, like, tutorial based. Like, oh, here's the tutorial for... Oops, I wanted winter. They're all tutorial based for, like, oh, well, if you didn't know how to do, what's his face? Well, hey, now you do. Gulliver. Yeah, there was the name I was looking for. So we're making a book. I guess we'll just start by making a bookshelf. Because yeah, we got all the books right here. I think we need some type of wood. I don't remember which type. At least we probably do, anyways. Let's see. I think bookshelf was a yellow one. Yeah, there we go. We need normal wood. Okay. All right. So yeah, so today we're out looking for friends. That's the plan for today. You know, we'll do the morning routine like always, and we'll go out looking for friends. But we're also so I said yesterday that we had a few things to talk about today, and we'll probably get to those as well. I'm like 90% sure that's fake. We'll probably get to those other things as well, maybe. But the big thing I realized that we should finally talk about, because we now have the time, is Centaurworld Season 2. Or the final season. I realized I've kind of been putting it... well, it took me forever to get around to the show, to, like, finish it. Because, you know, I'm terrible, but... I was looking for customization kits. But yeah, we'll be talking about that. I think while we go out and look for other villagers, we'll talk about that today. Because I've been waiting... Alright, I've been meaning to... I just hadn't got around to it. Alright, what type of bookshelves do we have? I want... I guess dark brown. Oh god, wait, can we just... Wait. Can we just leave our sad boy poster up? And then, could we, like, put this on top of the bookshelf? Earbuds? No, we can't. Oh, that's funny. Hey, crispy potatoes, how you doing? Yeah, earbuds are kind of stupid. I don't know. I got a pair of those wireless ones a while back. Like they went on, like a pair of those wireless ones went on sale. Where it not air like they're not AirPods because I don't have an iPhone. They're like the Samsung version or whatever for the Galaxies or whatever. And I actually kind of like those. Because, like, I had a pair of, like, the wireless, like, the ones that go around your neck. And, I mean, they worked fine. But they were annoying. Like, I hate... Because they were, like, the one I had, anyways, were, like, a hard plastic. And, like, there was no, like, comfortable way to get them around your neck. Because they were a hard plastic. But now that I have, like, like, where it's just the buds... Those are so... I think those are great. Yeah, and then of course like there are certain things that my shovel broke. There are certain things that like don't have like a jack anymore. Like I know there are certain types of phones that what was it? That yeah, like I know certain iPhones and Androids just don't have a headphone jack anymore. I don't know. At first I was kind of like, I don't know how I like that. Like cuz it definitely does feel like forcing products upon people. But then I started using wireless headphones and I was like, okay, I guess I kind of get it. They die when I put them in the charging case. They say 75% battery. When I take them out and they start working again, but die in 30 seconds. Huh, that's weird. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, and then the only pair I've only ever owned like a single pair of like headphones that like go over like I've never owned Beats, like the Beats by Dre or whatever. But like, you know, the headphones that go like over your ear. I've only ever owned like I owned a pair and then I bought a pair for the computer, which I think are okay. I don't know. Sometimes I get crackles from it. Like, and I don't know if I'm like if it's something on my end or what. But yeah, occasionally like the ones I have plugged into my computer, I'll hear like crackles from. And I fucking hate crackles, man. And I don't know, and like these were brand new and they were giving me fucking crackles and I was so pissed. And I don't get it. I think it's got to be something with the cord. But yeah, like over the ear headphone, is it just called headphones? Yeah, I owned a single pair for my phone back in the day, but those broke a long time ago, and they were like a cheapo brand. But no, I totally get like Bluetooth audio and whatnot nowadays. Doesn't mean I always use it, but I get it. Okay, we'll come back to these snowballs later. Because, yeah, this is the easy spot to make the snowman. We'll probably take down the Christmas decorations maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's New Year's, actually. Yeah, tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Yeah, maybe we'll take down the Christmas decorations tomorrow. It's an option. Here, no. Let's get rid of this one. I don't think I'm going to help out Gulliver today. I mean, we've done Gulliver several times already now. I don't think I need to. Alright, that should be all my fault. I do want to look for a DIY recipe, so I guess we can go check with Bobbert. And whoever else has one. Because, you know, I'm still trying to get... I'm assuming tomorrow is my last day to get the Christmas DIYs. Probably, because I assume they go away in the new year. Messy influencer. That's funny. So I think this is our first time going in Bobbert's room. It's like a toy chest. That's cute. I don't know. I always think of Bobbert as like, I don't know what personality type Bobbert is, but like based on his like facial expression, I always assume he's like a very like, just like a very like mellow cat that doesn't really give a shit. So toy chest is kind of extreme for him. Ugh. Still blowing my nose. I thought I was getting better. Like last night, my sinuses were like mostly clear. But this morning, nope, they were right back to being stuffed up again. Oh yeah, Peck's here. Oh, hey Peck, what's up? What you working on? An ornament table lamp. Huh. See, I have no idea how many new Christmas DIYs there were this year. Like, I should have been doing this the entire time, but I didn't even know. Hey, Dat boy, what's up? Let's see what this table lamp looks like. Is it cute? I doubt it, but we'll look. Yeah, it's fine, I guess. It's not really anything that special. It's fine. Alright, let's go get our fossils checked. And let's go put the money tree away. Then we gotta make a snowman. And we gotta do other things. Let's go make a... Let's go get our fossils checked. Let's do that first. Hey, Blather's old sport. Gosh, it's wild to think tomorrow is New Year's Eve. That's... Oh my gosh. I'm not ready for my break to be over. I really could have used like one more week. Oh my gosh. It went by too quick. It went by too quick. Oh, you know what I should say? Oh gosh, I guess I could talk about this now. So in Pokemon, I talked about yesterday about how I was working and I was at the 8th gym. I'd caught Dialga, and I was making my way towards the 8th gym. Oh god, so first, I forgot to mention this yesterday. So I talked about how I didn't have Defog. I couldn't find Defog. And I went in, and like at one point you go into Mount Coronet, and you, like, need defog. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, no. Because, like, I was able to get through the route that needs defog easy enough. But once you get into the cave, I was like, oh no, this isn't good. So I said screw it, you know, because I thought I had looked everywhere that I thought it would be. So I just looked it up. It was in the Safari Zone. And even though I swear I remember talking to the NPC that gives you defog, I guess I just didn't. So I got defog finally, was able to navigate the route, was able to navigate Mount Coronet, and get the thing. So yeah, that happened yesterday. So I finally just gave up and looked up defog. But so back on track, I beat the 8th gym, which was the electric gym. Super easy. I think I have several ground types, so because like Torterra knows earthquake and stuff like that, so it went super well. It was easy. A lot of gym battles in that gym, but the actual gym itself went super well. Then I go through Victory Road. Victory Road, easy enough. You know, you get lost a little bit along the way, but it was easy enough. None of the trainer battles were that hard at all. Victory Road went fine. Then I get to the Elite Four. I actually have a video of this, of my first encounter with the Elite Four. I was thinking of showing it, because I was like, you know what, sure, I'll just record me doing the Elite Four for the first time. Sure, why not? Who knows how bad it's gonna go. It went fucking terribly. The only thing I knew, so I'm not like a Nuzlocke or whatnot. I don't have immense game. I have been playing Pokemon for 20 plus years. That does not mean I'm that good at Pokemon. I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you. I've been playing it. You can play a game for a long time and never be that good at it. Okay? And you can still enjoy a game you're not good at. But, so, I was doing the Elite Four, and but I know the trainer types. It's Bug, Ground, Fire, Psychic. And I'm like, okay, I more or less have counters to all of those. Not like I don't have a water type. Like, the types I'm missing are Water, Ice, Dragon, Fairy. I don't have any counters for any... Those are the only move types I don't have on my team. I've got move types for everything else, and I'm pretty sure I've got a counter for everything but Dragon type. Right? Like, I can defeat any Pokemon except for a Dragon type Pokemon. Or like, what I mean is I've got something super effective against everything but Dragon types. Well, so I go into the bug type trainer, and he just kicks my ass. Part of it is, so because I don't know like what Pokemon he's sending out, I don't know like what's going to be effective against what or what's going to be strong against what. But I start off with like, I'm going to start off with like Flamethrower, right? Because it's a bug type, fire is strong against bug if I remember correctly. So I'm like, I'll start off with like Flamethrower, and that'll do a bunch of damage, and boom, strong start. Flamethrower does fucking nothing. And I'm like, oh shit. And you can and I didn't record any audio. I think at the very end I'm just like, oh fuck. But it's just me there sitting in silence, just being like, oh, I'm so fucked. Oh shit. Like, I fucked this up. Oh no. Oh no. As the bug type gym leader just slowly starts picking off my Pokemon. Like my psychic type, my Bronzor just gets critical hit one shot. And I'm like, fuck. Shit. And it just slowly starts picking off members of my team until we're both down to our final one. And it's faster than me, and it knocks me out, and I blacked out. I lost to the first trainer in the Elite Four. Fuck. Fuck, man. The first trainer. Now, of course, now that I've lost to them, I can, like, go back and be like, okay, I should have started off with this Pokemon, and then I should have done this, and then I should, I can go, like, I can see how my team could successfully beat them on a second try, but that first try just went terribly. Oh my gosh. And like, if I were to show the footage, I'm sure someone who actually knows what they're doing could be like, this is what you did wrong, this is what you did wrong, you should have started off with this one, you should have used this move at this point, you should have done this. Like, they could tell me exactly what I did wrong. But, like, oh my god, it was a nightmare. Oh my god, the Vespiquen. The Vespiquen just got all of its, defense boosts up. And then I was just doing, like, no damage to it. So I was like, oh, fuck. I'm just, like, doing nothing to it. I'm so screwed. And then the, oh my god. I was eventually able to kill it, but it took me a minute. But I was like, oh no, I'm so screwed, because it just got all of its defense orders up, and I couldn't kill it fast enough. And then, the Heracross. So my plan was, like, for the, right before the Elite Four, you did the rival battle. And I was able to beat the rival battle, but there was I lost a few Mons along the way, and that was like my bad omen for the Elite Four. But for Barry's Heracross, I just poisoned it and like stalled it out. Yeah, I went to poison his Heracross. It's got a flame orb and it just like it burns itself, and you can't burn and poison at the same time. So I was like, shit. I was able to beat the Heracross. It just took me a minute. But I was like super worried, man. Like, that was not a good I'm sure I could do it better the second time. Like, I know I will beat it the second time, but like, oh fuck, I'm so screwed. And like again, I have no water types. With the fire guy, I mean, I have rock, and I have or is it rock is it rock in ground that fire type is weak to? I still, even all the, like I said, 20 years later, I still don't remember everything about the Pokemon type chart. I know all the obvious ones, but I forget some of them along the way. And gosh, I don't remember if it's rock or ground, or if it's both. Whatever it is, I have whatever other types counter it. I just don't have water. So, like, that worries me about the fire type. Psychic type I've got. The psychic type's gonna be easy. But, and then the ground, we'll see. And then Cynthia, I have no fucking clue. Because, again, I've got nothing strong against that Garchomp. So yeah, the Elite Four is going to be fun. I'm horrified. Just like genuinely horrified of like, how is this gonna turn out? Oh yeah, we got belongings. So I think belongings guarantee a good island today, if I remember correctly. Oh, it's a glowing moss island, I think. It's got vines, which usually mean glowing moss, but it's at night. But it's not snowing. I'm pretty sure this is a summertime island. Oh, come on. Come on. God, I hate the hitboxes in this game sometimes. There is a... We're in a hydrangea season. There is a non-zero chance that we could have shooting... Oh, it is shooting stars. Okay. I was gonna say, there is a good chance we have shooting stars. And there they are. I finally see them. I guess we'll spend a minute here. That does mean this is a shooting star. That's one of the nice things about giving me special islands. Is that, like, some of the DIY... Like, this should be a shooting star DIY. Which one? I don't know. But it should be one of them. And this rock is shooting stars. It did suck the last time I came to one of these shooting star islands. I didn't hit the rocks. Yeah, I didn't know. Or at least I'd heard something about it, but I just didn't know. I guess we can actually go over here first. I don't know if there's just a single rock or what. Because that was, I mean, a Sagittarius fragment, Capricorn, Gemini, Leo, Virgo. Oh, there's the second rock. See, this is why you check with Katrina, because belongings. If you get good belongings, that guarantees you a rare island. Not a shooting star island always, but a rare island nevertheless. Of course, belonging seems to be the rare one. I wonder if you get all the different types of shooting stars from these rocks. But no, we got some repeats here. I don't know. I know there's a few shooting star DIYs that I'm missing. That I never found. Or that, I never got. And then there's some of the other ones that What's-Her-Face never gave me. Let's see, what's our DIY? The Leo. Oh, of course, it's one we already... We can't get the freaking moon bed. Again, we talked about this, I mentioned this yesterday. I hate repeats. Man, repeats are the worst. We'll put it with all the other DIYs we've been gathering. Oh my gosh. Ooh, Sultan Sanctuary is free on the Epic Game Store. Oh, no, it isn't anymore. Sultan Sanctuary is decent. It's a Souls-like, but, it's decent. Oh my god. So, while we're sitting here, let's talk Encanto. Hey, Leo, how you doing? So, so I finally got around to seeing Encanto while I had that time off, and I kept meaning to talk about it, but I kept forgetting to talk about it. I enjoyed Encanto. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's like I don't think it's I don't know. I probably liked other like I'm one of those assholes who likes Frozen, but that's just me personally. Is Encanto probably like a better structured movie than Frozen? I don't know, maybe. Um, I don't know. I've seen people like I've seen a lot of hot takes recently. That's like, why is it of all the recent Disney movies, Frozen is the one that had to blow up when it's like the worst one? I don't know. And then I need to rewatch the second Frozen because I liked the second Frozen. Or I didn't like the second Frozen, but everyone keeps telling me it's really good. And I'm like, maybe on a second viewing I'd like it more. I don't know. I don't know. But I watched Encanto and I think it's good. The music is good. Like the some of the like the opening song is very musical esque because it's setting up your foundations. But like after that, like the song about her being like waiting for a miracle. I think it's called "Waiting for a Miracle." That one's good. The one about pressure is really good. We don't talk about Bruno was good. The one about the flower sister is really good. Like the music is good. I liked the music a lot. The story itself is pretty because right they all have the gifts and their power, but like the power's fading and whatnot, and Mirabelle doesn't have a power. Like that's all. It's a solid enough idea. I do. I want to go. I guess most of my problems with it are all spoiler related. So I guess, or like my two big problems, kind of, are spoiler related. So I'm guess spoilers for Encanto. Yeah, spoilers for Encanto. So I think the movie is. Eventually they realize that it's because like the magic is fading, right? The miracle is dying because of like the pressure they all have on themselves. Like they have to be like the perfect family, and that's like killing them all. Like right, like they're all dying inside. Holy shit, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's some good money. All that's 2/3 of a million. Nice. But yeah, so you find out that the magic is dying because like all the pressure. And that's really interesting and I like that, and it's kind of the grandmother's fault because she's putting all like she doesn't like Mirabelle because she doesn't have powers, and she wants the other sisters to be perfect, and like I get that, and that's really good and I like that. So right, the house ends up falling apart, Mirabelle runs away, then the grandmother comes finds her and is like, this is where I lost my husband, and you get this amazing sequence of her like remembering like when she lost her husband, and it's just heartbreaking because like now, yeah, sure, she has this miracle, but she lost her husband and she's still off on her own. Like you get how like the grandmother, right, and then she was like so afraid she would lose the miracle again that she kind of became toxic. Like you get how column A led to column B, and like the heartbreak of like she's got this miracle, she's got this house, and yet all she has is sadness because she's now the mother of three. She's now a single mother of three kids. You get it, and it's really well done. But that's the climax of the movie. Like the climax in Encanto feels very understated. Like there's no antagonist, and I'm fine with stuff with no antagonist. Like I'm fine there's no villain in it. Cause yeah, I mean yes, the grandmother has these expectations, but it's not villainous. It's not like the villain in Coco who's like trying to kill them and whatnot. The grandmother isn't even really the. I mean, I guess you would call her the antagonist, but I don't take it that way. But yeah, the climax is very like the house falls apart. They do the song at the river, and then that's it. And then they rebuild the house, and the movie ends. And it's like, huh. It just kind of feels like it just kind of ends. Like I guess like yes, technically it does peak, and then and then it has it. You have your rising action, you have your climax, and then you have that little bit of falling action, and it ends. But it feels very like understated, and I don't know how. Like I don't know what you would do instead, because like the entire movie takes place in like a single house. Like that's it. The entire movie is the single house and the town. I guess the town surrounding it. Like this ain't like no Hateful Eight or whatever, but it's mostly just like the single house. But it's just kind of understated, and I, I don't know. It's not. Again, I like the movie. It's a good movie, but it just kind of feels a little off to me. Like I don't know how else you would climax this movie, especially with everything it was doing. It's just kind of weird. But my other problem, and I had the same problem with Soul. I had this exact same problem with Pixar Soul this time last year. Is so at the end of the movie, the basically all the people from the town come together and they help rebuild the house. Right? So they rebuild the Encanto, and it's like, oh, that's fantastic, right? And then once the Encanto's built again, they all get their magic back. Right? Because they lose their powers when the candle fades and the house is destroyed. And like they're starting to lose their powers even before that. But once the house is fixed, hey, happy ending, they get their powers back. I don't like that. I feel like that kind of takes away from the ending. I feel like it would be better if they didn't get their powers back. That it was just them at the end. It was just them. They didn't have powers, but hey, they can still help out their community. They're still all there for one another. They're still special in their own ways. Right? I feel like that kind of cheapens the ending. And I had that same problem with Soul. Soul at the end, he dies, but then because he's able to help 22, he gets to go back. And I felt like that cheapened the ending of Soul. And I have the same thing here. I feel like them getting their powers back cheapens the ending. Which is like we're going to talk about Centaurworld here in a few minutes. And when I do, we'll talk about happy endings. But I don't know, there's just something about I love a happy ending. But there's just I feel like there was a happy ending here where they didn't get their magic back, and that was just a little bit stronger. I don't know. That's just me. But I think other than those two things that are kind of problems, kind of not really at the same time, the movie's really good. The animation is beautiful. Like this is every time Disney and Pixar gets better at animating humans, and I think we've gone a long way from at the end of Frozen, where people were complaining that the human characters all look the same in Frozen. No, we've gone a long way since then, and all these humans are distinct and they look different and they animate really well. Like the facial expressions are top notch here. But yeah, I think the movie was really good. I was going to see it in theaters, and then I just looked and it was like, oh hey, because it bombed at the box office, which really surprises me, because I saw people talking about how the reason so many movies like The Last Duel or The Green Knight are bombing at the box office are because post COVID. One, we're still technically we are in COVID. Again, we hit an all-time peak the other day. We had more COVID cases yesterday than we have had in a single day at any point prior in the pandemic. It's fucking bad right now. Nobody cares, but it's bad right now. But so that's part of it, is that people they don't want to risk going out to see a movie. Yeah, they don't want to. So, that's why, they'll only go out and see, things they trust, like Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man No Way Home broke $1 billion. People will only go out and see movies they trust. But that would make me think, Disney is a trusted brand. I would think they would go out and see Encanto. But no, people didn't go out and see Encanto. It bombed at the box office. Same thing with West Side Story. it's both it's a Disney movie and it's a remake, and it also bombed at the box office. That surprises me. That honestly surprised me. So yeah, what movies are people seeing anymore? Who knows? That new Matrix movie, that's probably gonna bomb at the box office as well. Admittedly, that one's also on HBO Max, but still, it's just surprising, you know. But yeah, we've got enough shooting stars, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I liked the movie. I thought the movie was good. Again, the music was so catchy. They're really banking on Lin-Manuel Miranda, because like he did the music for Frozen, or not Frozen. I mean Moana. Yeah, he did the music for Moana. That's what I meant. But now I feel like they're banking on him, and yeah, you know, get that bag. I know some people are sick of him, but yeah, get that bag. I like him well enough. How many bell? Either 82 or 83 million. I don't remember off the top of my head. Oh, look at that sunrise. That's so good. Yeah, I think it's 82 or 83 million. I don't remember. Because I know I lost a bunch of money to turnips one week, and then I made some of that money back. It really all depends. Just one good turnip harvest can like make you millions. One good turnip harvest can make all the difference, really. Oh, we're going right back into the snow. All right, let's go sell some stuff first, then we'll go to the house. Let's drop this right here. Oh, we also gotta bury this. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, I've got a lot of bells, but I've been doing this for over 600 days. So, yeah. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. Oh, I can get a Rolex. I guarantee I don't have enough money for a Rolex. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no. So, you know, and it's not even a Rolex. Like, that's a very expensive watch for not being a Rolex. Oh, look, they had book. I just bought a bunch of books through the store, and they just have books here in the Nook shop today. Let's actually hit up the town hall first. Gosh, tomorrow is New Year's. Ugh. I don't know, I just find that so strange. Like, it seems like it just came so fast. But then again, I know the thing is the time between Christmas and New Year's is just considered like a blur. Like, it's just this weird, like, limbo state between time, and it's just weird. Do I need anything in here? Nah, I guess I don't. We don't need to keep a tiger farm. I still cannot believe I sold all those ox statues. That's just so unlike me, but... Or that feels like something I wouldn't do, but I guess I did. Alright, now let's go to the house. And let's hit up the house and let's grab, our tickets. Because today we're villager hunting. So we gotta go get our plane tickets. Hopefully we'll find somebody cool, and hopefully it'll take more than, like, 5 minutes. Because, you know, we're talking Centaurworld today, and oh boy, do I have a lot of things to say, because, yeah, it's a lot. Leo, Gemini, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Cancer, Aquarius, Libra, and Virgo. Which ones were we... That wasn't 12. Which fragments were we missing? No, I don't need any plane tickets. Oh, which fragments were we... Capricorn, Gemini. We were missing like 1 or 2. Oh gosh, which one? There we are. There's our plane tickets. We'll just take all 24. Leo. I have no idea. Whatever. Oh, we visited the roost enough times. 50 times. That's cool. Even though it has not been 50 days. Like, today's, what, day 45? So it has not been 50 days. Admittedly, yes, there were a few days we didn't, like, do anything, but... yeah. Or admittedly, there were a few times I visited the roost off-stream. Clearly, only not that many, because I know we've had, like, 12 days off. Alright, let's start hitting up islands, shall we? Alright, Hey, what's up, Orville? I want to fly. Hey, Caleb, Kirby, how you doing? Good to see ya. Oh my gosh. Decent, yeah. Alright, I'm pulling up my list. I'm pulling up my notes for Centaurworld Season 2, so give me a minute. Oh my god. Okay, so we're just villager hunting today. Maybe we'll find somebody cool. Oh, it's Bryan Cranston! Hey, I loved you in Breaking Bad. Yeah, and it's funny because I don't even think Cranston's that bad. I'm being super picky today when it comes to villager hunting. The most picky I've ever been. Which is saying something, that's for sure. I'm also keeping my eye out for bottles. But other than that, we're just going back and forth. Okay, where are my notes? Season 2. Here we go. Got my Switch for Christmas. Yeah, I mean, again, just, I mean, it doesn't matter how, honestly, you get to a certain point with bells where you, like, stop needing them. It's just however many you want to get. Like, I tapped out at some point where I was like, oh, I no longer need bells. I'm just getting them to get them, you know? It's just go at whatever pace you want, really. Like, do you want to just pay your house off instantly? Well, yeah, if you want to do that, then you can do that. If you want to try to make as much money as possible, yeah, you can do that. It's more about what your goals are. And will you still be playing the game in a month? Because that's something else I realized back in the day, is that, like, if you just spend a lot of time playing Animal Crossing, eventually, within, like, a month, you'll just wear yourself out. Which is totally valid. Again, everyone plays Animal Crossing differently. and everyone's ways are valid. The way I play it is differently than the way you play it. I usually just put in an hour a day, but I know some people who put in 1,000 hours in like 2 months. So, yeah. And then there's the time travelers, which I've never time traveled, but... Oh, hey, it's Klaus. Okay, Augustus. You idiot. And there's our first bottle. Aurora is a good religion. Yeah, Aurora's pretty cool. Did I get Aurora? Did I get... I think I would still play it because I would be getting Happy Home Paradise. Yeah. And yeah, Happy Home Paradise definitely extended the length of the game. That's for sure. You know, I would expect Klaus to be more of like a Santa-based villager and less of a Julius Caesar-based person, you know? Alright, so we're talking Centaurworld today. So Centaurworld, if you don't know, is a show on Netflix. And it's really fucking weird. It's it's this very like, it's this thing where it's like you start off and you're like in the middle of this like war-torn world where like humans are fighting these like terrible monsters, like these lizard monsters. And it's terrible. And like that's where it starts. And then so it's like this main character and she's like riding a horse. And you find out, no, she's not the main character. Her horse is the main character. And she gets transported to Centaurworld, which is this like colorful world filled with like singing, dancing, half animal, half man things. And the show's just fucking weird. Centaurworld is a weird show, but I love it. It's so good. The first season, anyways. I reviewed the first season a few months ago. Oh, it's Elvis. Okay. Yeah, the first season is so good. So well done. I loved it. I like, at the time, I was like, yeah, this is really good. I have since rewatched it, the first season again. It's, oh my gosh, I love the first season of Centaurworld. I thought it was so good. One of the best shows I've seen this year. I was so impressed with it. I think it's so well done. It's really weird, like Adventure Time. It's just kind of fucking weird. But if you can get through the weirdness, you get a really good show. And it's only like 10 episodes. And it might even be 8. Let me see. It was 10 episodes, okay. But it was 10 really good episodes. So I was thoroughly impressed with it. And then I heard the second season was... So, like, the original season premiered, like, earlier this year. So, when I heard the second season was premiering this year as well, I was genuinely surprised. Like, really? A second season already? And then from the looks of it, the second season was the last season. So I was even more like, really? Like, the idea of, like, an entire show premiering in a year is so strange to me. Like, I know shows that have only been, like, 2 seasons. And not because they were canceled, like Symbionic Titan. No, like, actually, like, Gravity Falls. Only 2 seasons. But 2 really good seasons. So Centaurworld's only 2 seasons. And in total, it's, like... Technically, it's only 18 episodes. It's more like 20, because the last episode's over an hour long. But yeah, it's more like 20 episodes. Oh, look at that. But it's 20 really good episodes. But right... Oh, Kyle. Of course you're named Kyle. But, so with that first season, I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. It's going to... The ending of this is going to be fantastic. I was so impressed with the first season. There's no way it could let me down. It then proceeded to let me down. I'm not saying I hate this show now. I still think the first season is very solid, and I think the show ends very well. I think like the final episode's over an hour long, and the final episode is really good. The final episode is so solid, and I think the episode before that's also really good. The Hoot Nanny's really good, but the 6 episodes before that, yeah, I think getting to the end, like, first season's so solid, it ends on the note of riders going back to prepare for the war. Horse is going to stay in Centaurworld to prepare an army of, the centaurs that can use magic, and they're finally going to end the war. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is great. So starting off in the second season, the first episode, Horse goes around, tries to recruit all the people you met in the first season. Doesn't work. They don't get any allies. And then they're like, let's go check out the actual, like, centaurs, like the horse centaurs. Because, all the centaurs are, like, a giraffe, Wamawink's alpaca, and then I think Jeffica's the llama. Right? The zebra, the cats, they're all, like, weird animals. But they actually go and meet the centaurs, right, that are horses. And the centaurs are, like, they live in, like, this castle surrounded by, like, it's like a castle, a fortress, whatnot. And they're like these big muscular people, but all they do is, like, tulip stepping. Like, these little, like, tulip stepping, and even though they've got all these big muscles, they don't really do anything with them, and they just lived, like, very privileged lives. Like, honestly, the head centaur TM, as they call them, what is it? They remind me of a character from, oh god, it's not, my first thought is Gravity Falls. Like, it could, like, I don't think they're voiced by, the same, like, Mabel, but it, like, could have been. That's the type of character it is. Oh gosh, what does the head centaur remind me of? And then they've got, like, their, like, grandchild is, like, entirely in, like, black and white, and, like, a grayscale. And this is where we kind of find out what's up with Ched, the finch, where he's, he was, like, tortured by the, by this little kid, whose name I don't remember. But yeah, and then the head centaur sings about, like, privileged, and how, like, great it is to be privileged, and, like, it's fine, I guess. Like, they make fun of, like, trickle-down economics, and how shitty capitalism is. And how, like, these people recognize how, like, privileged they are, and they have no desire of changing that. Like, they're privileged, they love being privileged, and that's exactly what they want to be. So yeah, the first episode, like, the centaurs TM are just kind of, like, annoying. But I guess it starts off on a fine enough note. And at the end of the episode, they recruit the trash tars, which are, like, possums and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. This is fine. But that takes us into the second episode. I want to say the second episode is the worst episode in the show. I'm going to make that brash statement right now, because it commits one of the cardinal sins. One of the things you're never supposed to do. Oh, you're adorable. Which is, you don't attack your critics. I was originally going to go into this and say, I have never seen a good episode of a show that attacks its critics. Because when you attack your critics, you're just, I want to say down punting, and down punting never looks good. Right? Shows I love that, like, they'll do episodes that attack their critics, and it's like, nope, you've completely fucked it up. This episode's terrible. Steven Universe. Love Steven Universe. the worst episode in the show is Rocknaldo, which is about attacking its critics. Probably the worst episode. I don't know. It goes some places. But, and at the time when I said Rocknaldo was a terrible episode, because you just can't attack your critics and win. Someone was like, oh, you should check out the My Little Pony episode that attacks its critics. That one's pretty good. And I haven't seen My Little Pony. I've seen like a dozen episodes. But I was like, you know what? I'm curious. I'll check that episode out. That episode also sucked. The episode of My Little Pony where they attack their critics also fucking sucked. And like Centaurworld, again, this show has been on for not even a year now. And they do an episode attacking their critics. There's no reason for them to do this. And yet they did it anyways. And it's not even like it's not always attacking their critics. Like, they're making fun of people like me who get up on like YouTube and talk about the show. They make fun of Comic-Con. And it's not always in like a negative light either. But I was just like, nope. Immediately, I'm not feeling this. I was like, fuck. Fuck, man, come on. Because, okay, I should say, so I say no show that attacks its critics work. There is a single exception I can think of. I guess kind of two. The first exception is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which does an episode... Is that Faith? It looks like Faith. No, it's not. Avatar: The Last Airbender does a recap episode at the very end of its show that kind of in some ways attacks its critics, but also kind of admits that the critics are right. Like, they make fun of the Great Divide episode in that one, because yeah, no, they were right. That is the worst episode in the show. So, right, I guess Avatar: The Last Airbender technically did it correct. But again, that's not really an attacking critics episode. That's more of a recap episode. And that is important here, because this episode does do some recapping. But the other thing it does... The only other example of a show that attacked its critics and worked is Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn does an episode where at the very beginning of the episode, there's two guys sitting on the couch. One guy has a The Last Jedi Sucks shirt. The other guy has a Bring Back the Snyderverse shirt. And they talk about how Harley Quinn sucks. And then the episode happens, and they go through the entire episode not even mentioning these guys again until the very end, where they mention them again real quick. Yes, that's attacking Harley Quinn's critics, but it's not the plot of the episode. It's just like a joke at the beginning of the episode and a joke at the end of the episode, and it's a fucking hilarious joke. Because, while yes, it's attacking the show's critics, it's also just making fun of stupid nerds in general. Like, they're both not, like, first of all, one of them is on board with the show. Like, one of them's like, yeah, sure, let's watch the show. But also, they're not purely making fun of the show itself. Because, like, it's attacking, like, Bring Back the Snyderverse is one of the guy's shirts. The other guy has a Last Jedi shirt. Last Jedi has nothing to do with DC. But yet, it still gets at that, like, whiny fanboyism that the actual, like, they're talking about. That's why it works. Because they don't spend the episode on it, and they're being more broad with it by talking about whiny, cunty fanboys, like the ones who hate The Last Jedi, like the ones who wanted to bring back the Snyderverse. Right, I get it. I think Harley Quinn, and I really think it's that first point is what matters more. The fact that they only talk about it for, like, a few minutes. Oh, Billy. That's why Harley Quinn works. But the bad episodes, like the My Little Pony one, like this one, it doesn't work because that's the plot of the entire episode. That's why it doesn't work. So in this episode, they meet the Bird Tars, and the Bird Tars are, like, fans of the show. And they sing a song about how, like, they're fans of the show, and how much they love the show. And it's like, oh, these are the critics. Okay, that's what they're doing here. And they make fun of, like, Comic-Con and whatnot, and, like, fan art. And there's this one who loves, I think he's called Mouthpiece. who just fucking loves Comfortable Dog. And we'll talk about Comfortable Dog next episode. But, right, like, they're fans of the show. Like, they're the birds who have been flying above, and they've been watching everything. And the one thing that the moment I was originally like, I'm very skeptical of this, but the moment I was like, nope, fuck this episode, was when they say that, oh, all fans have different opinions, but the one thing we agree on is we hate Wama Wink. The characters I like the most in the show are Horse and Wama Wink. So I was like, nope, fuck off episode. Like, I know you're trying to make a joke here, but, like, no, I like Wama Wink way too much. No, fuck off. Like, I know that's the joke. Oh, the joke is that everybody hates Wama Wink. But, again, it goes back to the feel like it's like, I know it's making fun of people, right? It's like, oh, well, people don't actually hate Wama Wink, but I don't know. It just leaves a sour taste in my mouth that I hate. But yeah, that's how it starts, and I'm like, And then you find out about, like, Crandy, who's, like, your JoJo Siwa, your, oh, God, who's that one YouTuber that, I don't know, but it's making fun, like, they do, like, the whole, like and subscribe thing, and it's just kind of, like, weird. Because, and, like, they, like, tweet, but instead of tweet, it's, like, bird eggs, and it's, like, very weird, and it's kind of gross, but, again, the show's fucking weird, I'm fine with that. But, yeah, and then they do, like, this whole Comic-Con thing, and the bird tars, because none of the birds know what happened in the rift. Because the birds can only see what they see from above, which is part of why I'm thinking, like, okay, within the universe of the show, the reason they hate Wama Wink is because all the best Wama Wink moments happen where they can't see them. And things like when Horse goes into Wama Wink's memory, or backstory as they reveal. When, inside the Whale Tar Shaman, right? Like, some of the best Wama Wink moments you can't see from the air. So that's probably why the bird tars hate Wama Wink. So, like, I guess in-universe there is a reason, but it still annoys me. But, so, they don't know, the bird tars don't know what happened in the rift, so as part of the agreement, if they recreate the rift, like the episode The Rift, then the bird tars will help them. Okay? So, in some ways, this is acting as, like, a recap episode. That's the reason I brought up Avatar. And, you know, if this episode was, like, the third to last episode, and it was acting as our recap episode for the show, I would probably like, and that was it. The entire episode was just a recap episode. Less commenting on fans and critics and whatnot. Oh, hey, look, it's that rhino who, we bully instinctively. Right, if this was just a recap episode, I would have no problem with it. Because them recreating the Rift Part 2, that's probably the best part of the episode. Like, that's, like, that is what keeps me from, like, hating this episode. Is when they recreate the Rift Part 2. And, like, they do a recreation of that, and it's like, they've only got, like, a keytar to work with. It's fine. It's the one fine part of the episode. But, of course, it gets back to attacking the critics, because all the bird tars hate it. Because it's like, oh, well, why would Horse do that? Why would Horse stay in Centaurworld? That makes no sense. Blah, blah, blah. God, again, I'm biased against this episode, but I still... Again, this does not, like, the first episode, I was like, this episode did not leave me on a strong note. But, right, after the bird tars complain, Zulia steps up and is like, oh, that may have been that season's ending, but we're not at the ending of the show. Do you want the good ending? Well, hey, guess what? You can be there to change it. So Zulius is able to convince the bird tars. So they now have the trash tars and the bird tars on their team. But yeah, that episode did not leave me on a good note. Then, third episode is the cold tars. My tummy, your hurts. So they go to the cold tars, and the cold tars want to side with the Nowhere King. Okay, interesting enough conflict. They end up running around for a little bit. Eventually, Glendale gets separated from them and gets captured by the cold tars. And it's okay. The episode itself, it just doesn't really feel like it's got much going on. Like, there's a lot of, like, meandering around as they're running away from the cold tars. it doesn't really feel like that much is going on. And now I do like the breathe in a bag song. I like it. And then there's like this whole element of this episode where it's like where like the Cold Tars are siding with the Nowhere King because they're scared. And like they're scared of like what's going to happen. So they think like, oh, if they side with the Nowhere King, then when it all ends, well, hey, it'll all end for them on a good note. Because, you know, they sided with the Cold Tars. But Glendale's like, no, that's just your overactive imaginations. You're afraid. There's definitely like a political message here about like, or at least the way I'm interpreting it, about Donald Trump, right? Like the Nowhere King in this metaphor is Donald Trump. And the Cold Tars are the people who are like afraid of him. But you know, they're still going to vote for him anyways. The Cold Tars are freaking Caitlyn Jenner. God. But, it's kind of, I didn't really care for it. It's kind of weird and it's kind of awkward. And Glendale has always been kind of like an awkward character. Like, I like the kleptomaniac stuff, but it's just kind of weird. Like, I don't hate it, but I also don't really like it. The stuff I do not like in the episode is fucking Comfortable Doug. I think the original Comfortable Doug joke is a very solid joke, right? You meet Comfortable Doug in the jail, and he's kind of weird, and then he escapes jail, and he does the Johnny T times B best competition, and that's fun, right? Johnny T times that bit, and then he shows up in the finale to sing his own song out of nowheres. And again, it's peak randomness. It's peak crazy in the show being weird. But I kind of love it. But it's clear that the writers loved Comfortable Doug as well. Like, that's part of why they brought him back. And like, in that finale, and why they bring him back here. But there's just something about Comfortable Doug in this second season. He's just not as funny. And I just find him way more annoying. Like they could have revealed like Comfortable Doug was like a time-traveling interdimensional god in this second season. And it would have tracked. That's just kind of how weird this second season is being. And how they just treat Comfortable Doug. Because you find out the Holtars, like the Moltars and the Gopher Tars and whatnot, the Worm Tars, have the ability to like dig tunnels between the two worlds. Which, okay, like that's interesting. But so it allows Comfortable Doug to like go into the other world, talk to Water Baby, who's broken into the Nowhere King's castle, got captured. Comfortable Doug talks to Ryder at one point and like delivers a message. But Comfortable Doug is just weird. Like, it gives off, like, Comfortable Doug grows more like confidence, which is like the point of his song at the end of the first season, is that he's more confident. But it also just kind of feels weird. Like, he becomes more annoying, in my opinion. I just found Comfortable Doug annoying in the second season. And that's how I'll put it. Is that in the second season, Comfortable Doug was just kind of annoying. And I was kind of sick of it. Like, especially, like, it's mostly in this episode. But he shows up in, I think, maybe it's the Ballad of Becky Apples. He shows up again later on, and I was like, I'm over this. Yeah, and I think his appearance in the finale is fine, and because they're just doing the same joke again in the finale. But in this episode, I was like, nah, I don't like this. So I just found Comfortable Doug annoying. And yeah, like I was saying, Water Baby tries to break into the Nowhere King's castle, and you find out the Nowhere King is making these like horrifying, like combining a minotaur and like other animals like bats and pangolins and alligators to make like these horrifying like amalgamation minotaurs. And that's fascinating, but I just wasn't vibing with it. Like, honestly, like it's just like the stuff in the human world is interesting. And like the Nowhere King is the best part of the second season, easily. Oh, Frigga. But it's just the Comfortable Doug in this episode in particular, the Comfortable Doug stuff just ruins it. I just kind of got sick of Comfortable Doug. And yeah, like I said, it's clear the writers really like Comfortable Doug. But I just don't like how they handled it. But the episodes, they freeze like Horse turns into a popsicle, and that's whatever. You get Durple drop in this one, I think. Also, for the entire season, Durpleton's been carrying around Stabby, which is like his like adopted son. Which at first I was like, this is fine, but it gets some payoff, and I actually love how they pay that off. Because in this next episode, Holes Part 3, they go down to the underground because they realize the Moltars can travel between the worlds. And they're like, oh, this is going to give us a great tactical advantage on the battlefield. Oh, yeah, and Glendale's able to recruit the Coldtars. I don't think I kind of mentioned that. Yeah. So they got the Coldtars, they got the Birdtars, and they got the Trashtars. But they go to the Moltars to try to recruit the Moltars again. Because they tried earlier in the season and it failed. But this time they're going to do it by the books. They're going to do some proper paperwork. And they're going to recruit the Moltars. While they're there, so Durpleton and Stabby runs off. And then Stabby turns into like a Centaurworld creature. So yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, they're gonna do it by the books. They're gonna recruit the Holtars because they want that power. Stabby runs away, and Stabby turns into like this cute little like lizard thing. And Stabby's like 47, which is one of the jokes. But yeah, Stabby turns into this cute little lizard thing, and yeah, it's kind of cute because like after Stabby transforms, he becomes like more like, oh yeah, you're my Daddleton. And again, it gets some good payoff, but I think that's not for like an episode or two. Maybe even next episode, actually. But, they're talking to the Moltars. They talk to Comfortable Doug. And this is where Horse finds out about Becky Apples. Which, okay, I like the Becky Apples joke. The Becky Apples, how about them apples? Because I know yours suck. Ooh, Phoebe. Oh, do I want... That is tempting. But I think I'm going to say no. Yeah, like I said, I'm being super picky. But yeah, so Horse finds out about Becky Apples and just freaks out. And it's not working with the Holtars, but then they meet the Gopher Tars and the Worm Tars, and they talk about, like, regulation hole sizes. Because, they're just trying to get them on their side. And then Womawink comes up with the idea of throwing a hootenanny. Oh, also, there's this bit about how Glendale is, like, wanted for escaping prison. And there's, like, a Spanish Glendale that isn't the real Glendale. And it's, like, really weird, but it's kind of funny. And, I don't know. But there's also this whole bit about, like, this, like... where, like, there's this bead, and they're doing this, like, shoulder thing that I didn't find funny at all. I think it was supposed to be funny, and I didn't find it funny at all. But eventually, Womawink has the idea of doing a hootenanny. And we don't know what a hootenanny is at this point. Like, when I think of a hootenanny, I think of, like a hoedown. Like, like with Cowpie Clyde and just throwing a hoedown to, like, save the local ranch from being turned into, like, a strip mall or whatever. That's what I think of. But because, right, so far, Glendale was able to recruit the Cold Tars. Zulius was able to recruit the other ones. The Bird Tars. And now Womawink was able to get the Holtars on their side with the hootenanny. So, like, Horse feels dejected because the only reason she stayed in this world was to recruit the Centaurs. And now she feels dejected because so far all of her efforts have completely failed. So she runs off, and they start planning for a hootenanny. And then, like, Horse is, like, stuck in this hole, but, like, they just smash cut to, like, eventually all the others find her. In the next episode, all the others find her, and they bust her out of the hole by freezing her and turning her into an ice cube again. And then they play, like, Buncho Scrunch, which is, like, their, like, weird game. Jebri shows back up in this episode, I liked Jebri and Comfortable Doug in the first season, and while I found Comfortable Doug very annoying in this second season. Jebri I still think is funny. Jebri being cold, breaking the skiffle in this episode. I think Jebri is still funny. Because they use it, they don't overuse it. Like, that's the problem with Comfortable Doug, is they overuse him. Jebri, they don't overuse, and I think Jebri is very funny in this episode. Right, breaking the skiffle, just being there in general. I thought they were going to jump into Jebri's backstory. Because Wamawink realizes that Horse has backstory magic. That Horse can jump inside people and find out what their backstory is. So we see Horse jumps into, I think, Glendale, and we find out Glendale's like a kleptomaniac, but eventually gets recruited by Wamawink, because, Wamawink doesn't have a problem with her being a klepto. We find Ched's backstory, that he used to live with the Horse Tars, and he wanted to be a tulip stepper, but the Horse Tars just made fun of him because he was too small to be a tulip stepper. And then the kid, like the black and white kid, kidnaps him and presumably makes him into a ball and presumably tortures him, which again makes sense as to why he doesn't like horses, because he doesn't like the Centaurs TM, so that makes sense. And then he goes into Durpleton's backstory. This is like, so far the show's kind of been, oh, Octavian's back. We're not bringing back Octavian. Don't get me wrong, I love Octavian. We're not bringing Octavian back. So far the season's been kind of mid. This has been the best thing in the season so far. Finding out Durpleton's backstory, that he was just a little kid and he wanted to make his parents proud, and his parents didn't like him and didn't care. And they just bully him, and they're bad parents. And it's super tragic, because he has this little box, and his dad throws it out the window. He goes out, because it's parents are rich snobs. So he goes out, and then they just leave, because they're in a walking house. And so he goes out to get his box, and his parents just leave him. They just leave him behind. And it's tragic. And then Ched shows up and it's oh, you're actually pretty strong. And then Wamawink shows up to save them. And then Zulius just shows up because why not? Because, yeah, I think they mentioned Glendale has a helicopter. But this whole Durpleton backstory is so well done. And then you get back to the present, and everything, when now he's got his son Stabby, and he's trying to be a better dad. And it's oh, it all makes sense. This episode... Okay, my problem with this episode is that a lot of this backstory stuff we should have gotten sooner. In the episode with the trees, we go inside Wamawink. Wamawink is freaking out because she doesn't want to go in the forest, but we go into Wamawink and we get her backstory, and that should have happened with all the other characters. When we go to Cat Valley, we should have gotten Zulius's backstory while we were there. And we kind of do, we know Zulius hangs out, used to be in Cat Valley, right? Him and, the tiger, is it a tiger tar whose name I don't remember? Splendif? I think it's Splendif. Have, some sort of history where, right? We know something is up with them. Did I just I just grabbed coconuts. I'm autopiloting here. We know they have some form of history, but, oh gosh, her back. But, that's it. We don't get much other of Zulius's backstory. And then when we meet the Centaurs TM in the first episode this season, we know they have some sort of history, but we don't get much of it. Right? We know Ched has a history, but they wait until this episode to reveal it. But, that's my problem. Is that, some of these we don't, Horse never even jumps into Zulius. Hey, Crispy, how you doing? Welcome back. We're talking Centaurworld. We should have, they don't give us Zulius's backstory, but we should have gotten Zulius's backstory when we were in Cat Valley. We should have gotten Ched's backstory when we were in the Centaurs. By putting it all in this episode, it feels weird. I'm fine with getting, and yes, technically we do get some. We get some of it, but they all put it in this one episode, and I just... But the Glendale stuff is decent, and the Durpleton stuff is so good. The Durpleton stuff is so good that I think it saves the episode. Right. So, yeah, I think it's an okay episode. It really just makes that ending makes it. And now they're off to the Hootenanny. But before we do that, we get the Ballad of Becky Apples. So this is our one. I don't even think like centaurs show up in this episode. Besides for I think Comfortable Doug has one moment, and Water Baby's in this one, kind of. This is. Oh, it's oh no, you're not Julian. You're Ed. Water Baby. So this episode is all about Ryder taking Becky Apples and trying to get the key, right? The Nowhere King is creating these horrible amalgamation monsters. They kidnap one of the bird tars and make him into an amalgamation monster, which is like... okay, the bird tar amalgamation monster reminds me of, Shao Tucker's daughter. You know, in Full Metal Alchemist, Shao Tucker fuses, his daughter with a dog. That's what the bird tar amalgamation looks like in this episode. Fucking horrifying. But, so yeah. But Ryder is trying... I don't think we ever find out Ryder's real name. But Ryder is trying to break into the place to get, the key back. Becky Apples is like this terrifying horse who, like, kills dozens of minotaurs. Like, Becky Apples is horrifying. It's kind of funny. Again, this episode is fine. It's not as bad as some of the previous episodes of the season, but it's nothing outstanding. It does remind me of that episode I was talking about in Harley Quinn, where they make fun of the fanboys. That episode is entirely about Batman and Batgirl. That's what this episode feels like in this moment. Like, we're not going to talk about Centaurworld. We're just going to focus on Becky Apples and Ryder. And you get some good moments, and like Ryder and Water Baby work together to break Water Baby out of the Nowhere King's place. They fail to get the key, but because they got Water Baby, they're able to convince them to, you know, invade, to go to the Rift. So everything's working out. Yes, they failed to get the key, but they've got this. I mean, yes, other things happen in this episode, but it's, again, it does feel like there's some filler in this episode. This season, I guess. Part of me thinks that Centaurworld could have been a single, like, 14, 15 episode season, and it would have been fine. I really do feel like you could have cut some of this stuff out, shortened some of these episodes, and it would have maybe not made the show better, maybe not. I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I do feel like there is definitely in this second season they do stall for time a little bit. There is some filler is such a harsh word. I don't want to use filler, but it does feel like they spend a lot of time on, like, this entire episode could have been, like, cut back between, like, a previous episode. Really, that's what this feels like. This, or even 2 episodes. Like, this didn't need to be its own episode. This could have been, kind of like how the 3rd episode splices in Water Baby, trying to break into the Nowhere King's place. This could have been spliced in between, like, the previous episode or the previous 2 episodes. This didn't need to be its own episode, but, that's just me. Again, it's not bad, it's just not great. But that takes us into the Hootenanny, so finally, after a bunch of meandering episodes, where I've been like, some of the, like, that one's bad, this one isn't, they're fine, but it's not anything great or good or anything. They're fine. The Hootenanny, I think, is the first good episode of the season. Like, the first great episode. Because the Hootenanny is all the different, like, characters they've recruited up until this point. And even the characters, like the trees, and the Murtars, and the, Cat-Tars. Like, they all say, oh, we're not gonna fight in your war, but they all show up for the Hootenanny, which directly gets them involved in the war. So even though the first episode is... Because, like, part of my concern was, like, oh, you spend all this first season with these characters, and then you just throw them out the window to go recruit new ones. No, they're still here in the finale. The Cat-Tars come back. Because they're throwing a Hootenanny, which kind of feels like Christmas. Like, that's, like, the first impression I get. Is, like, it's clearly, like, a joke about Christmas. But that goes into, the Hootenanny. and it's all these different characters together. And Splendif shows back up, and Splendif and Zulius make up, and they might be dating, and I don't know, I ship it. They have a ship name at one point, and that's kind of funny. Like, that's one of the jokes. But they're throwing a hootenanny. All the creatures are here. Ched realizes that, you know, all these creatures are so different. How are you going to get them to work together? So that's kind of like the conflict of the episode. But it's just a very, like, the next episode is the finale. So we just get one fun, sort of lighthearted episode before the finale. And I like it. I think, like, seeing all these different creatures, like, fight with each other is kind of, like, interesting. Because, like, oh, the cold tars are stuck between ice. The whole tars dig a hole. The trash tars are very loud and, like, punk music or rock or whatever. Again, I don't know music. I do films and video games. I don't critique music because I don't know what I'm talking about. But, like, just seeing all their conflicting and then getting, like, oh, you know, you made it to Centaurworld. Getting that song at the end of the episode is just really solid. And it's, like, this is, like, the crescendo. This is our, penultimate episode. I think it ends, like, the episode goes on a very solid note. They go through the rift, and the general is supposed to show up. Because, right, they were able to, Ballad of Becky Apples, they were able to convince the general to come. So they all are Ryder shows up in this episode as well, and Hootenanny and whatnot. And they're waiting for the general to show up. Because they think they have a few days, right? They think they've got time. Nope, the Nowhere King shows up. They're out of time. And so to buy them time, or just maybe to stop the Nowhere King forever, Horse goes inside the Nowhere King's head. Oh god, we only have 3 tickets left. Yeah. Horse goes inside the Nowhere King's head to, you know, see his backstory, and that's where the episode ends. What a fucking ending. It makes you want to watch the final episode. It's like, it's so strong. So that takes us into the final episode, The Last Lullaby. So I'm gonna break this up into both stories. So the first story is Ryder and all the other centaurs are out. Now it's only the main cast. The other, like the cat tars and the bird tars and whatnot, haven't shown up yet. So it's Ryder, Water Baby, and all the other main cast. And so the Nowhere King is frozen, and because the Nowhere King controls the Minotaurs, all the Minotaurs are frozen. So they try to decide on what to do with the Minotaurs, and they eventually think, like, oh, well, Ryder wants to kill them, because the general hasn't shown up yet. And they're like, no, we can't commit war crimes, we can't just kill defensive enemies. I've never seen this show. I'm just thinking about a half horse, half centaur, which is a really tall horse with 6 legs. There's a giraffe tar who just has, like, an infinitely stretching neck. Like, that's one of the jokes. It's a weird fucking show. I do recommend it. It's weird as hell, though. But yeah, so the Wamawink doesn't want to commit war crimes. Because, right, the Minotaurs aren't doing anything. Now, the solution I thought was going to happen is because the Minotaur, right, because of Stabby. Oh, also, in the last episode, Durpleton confronts his parents about how they're bad parents, and it's a really great moment. It's, again, Durpleton gets good payoff. Like, I didn't really care for Durpleton in the first season. He gets great payoff this season. Like, oh my gosh, it all works out. Like, it's really well. But yeah, so because Stabby was able to turn into, like, a cute centaur thing, I thought the solution was going to be they were going to push all the Minotaurs through the rift and turn them all into, like, cute little creatures. That's what I thought the solution was going to be. And that kind of happens at the end of the episode, but also doesn't. And instead, they just throw a bunch of Minotaurs in jail. But Horse's, like, trying to, like, stop the Nowhere King doesn't work forever. And eventually the Minotaurs start waking up. But hey, the general comes in, and they're able to fight back. They're able to fight the Minotaurs, and Stabby saves Durpleton at one point. So yeah, that's all the stuff that's going on with the humans. They stall for time a little bit. It's all fine. But what matters here is the horse stuff. So part of the reason why I knew I had to finish this show, and I knew I had to finally get around to finishing it, is because in my YouTube recommendations for the past few days, I've been getting a video that's Centaurworld, flawed show with a perfect villain. I haven't watched the video. I just saw the title of the video, and I was like, huh, that's interesting. And finally watching the finale and finding out the Nowhere King's backstory, I kind of get it. I don't know if I would call the Nowhere King a perfect villain. Because, there's this chart that you might have seen around where it lists, like, the different tiers of villain. And it's got, like, oh, this is a mid-tier villain, this is a meh villain, this is a bad villain, this is a god-tier villain. That chart's complete bullshit. Right? That chart's, like, because the whole point is, like, oh, the god-tier villains are those who, like, you agree with, and who's, like, what they're fighting for is more noble than the hero. That's complete bullshit. Just straight up, like, you can have great villains that just want to be evil and just want to do evil things, right? Like, that's perfectly fine. But finding out the Nowhere King's backstory, so going into this, the main thing we knew is from the first season finale, it was kind of hinted at that the Nowhere King was a centaur from Centaurworld, and that the woman who we're just going to call the princess was, right, a human, and they were in love at some point. So that's what we knew going into this. And the first thing we see of the Nowhere King is he's just like an elk or a deer or whatever. And it was like, okay. And one of the first scenes we see is him running away from the castle, being told, like, not to go back by the princess. So my thought was like, oh, well, maybe, he was like, because, so when Horse goes into Centaurworld, she turns into, like, a bunch of, like, volleyballs. Like, she turns cuter, and she becomes like Centaurworld. So my thought was like, oh, what if the opposite can happen? What if these two were in love, but when the Nowhere King came to live in, like, the human world, it just turned into a normal deer? That's where I thought this episode was going. Turns out, no. So we see a little bit, we find out the Nowhere King's backstory. He runs away as, like, a deer. He lives on his own for a while, eating food out of the garbage. There's a wedding between... So this entire time, there's been this general who Ryder is working under, and we find out the princess is married to the general. So that's the backstory. But, of course, the deer, the Nowhere King, loves the princess as well. So that's the conflict. And then we go back to the very beginning. We find out the Nowhere King was an Elktar who worked on the gateway, right? The gateway that connects the two worlds. He worked on the gateway. He helped maintain it. That's where the key comes from and everything. The princess knows a little bit of magic and whatnot. And he gets rewarded as, like, gate worker of the year. But, him and the princess are falling in love. But he doesn't... The Nowhere King, or I'm just going to keep calling the Nowhere King, doesn't like being a centaur. He wants to be human. So he figures out with the gate key, he can separate the human half and the animal half from a centaur. And he tries it out with a little, like, rutabaga tar, and it works. So then he goes and does it on himself, and yeah, it works. He separates himself into a deer and the general. The Nowhere King is also the general. But, presumably they have the same memories and everything. So while the deer runs off into the human world, the general, Philip J. Fry style, like Futurama, is able to pretend to be a human and is able to marry the princess. Basically, the human half of the Nowhere King gets everything he wanted, right? The whole reason he did it in the first place, he gets it, but the deer is stuck as the deer. It's fucking tragic. Like, in the way it's told, because, like, the second season didn't have as much music as the first season did until this final episode. This final episode is just filled with music. But, so, the Nowhere King, right, he goes on as a deer for a while, and then eventually he confronts the general as a deer and is like, hey, we should merge back into one person. Maybe she'll still love us. And the general tries to drown the Nowhere King it doesn't work because if the Nowhere King... I keep needing to go into ABD. If the Nowhere King dies, then the General dies as well. They're linked. So he can't kill him. So instead, the General just locks away the Nowhere King for 10 years. Puts him in solitary confinement, which, again, it's fucked up. Like, there's a saying that the only fate worse than death is solitary confinement. And yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible that the Nowhere King is just trapped in solitary confinement for 10 years. We don't see how it gets out. We don't see any of that. We don't even see its time in solitary confinement. We just know it goes a little crazy. But then eventually it's able to break out. It steals the key. And the way the key was able to separate centaurs and make them into humans and animals, it's also able to combine people. Which is what we've been seeing throughout the season. Oh, also at some point, the princess and the bear tar. We find out the princess is living with the bear tar in Centaurworld. They come through the rift and they go steal the key from the Nowhere King's castle, which used to be the princess's castle. That happens at some point while all the human stuff is going on. But yeah, so the Nowhere King steals the key and uses it to combine humans with animals, which doesn't make centaurs, but makes the minotaurs. Yeah, I get it. I'm just talking right now, honestly. But yeah, so the minotaurs used to be human at one point, but the Nowhere King amasses an army, and it's like as a side effect of using the key to combine people, the Nowhere King starts off as just like a normal elk. And then like his skin starts to fall off, his horns grow bigger, and he, like, turns into, like, this black sludge monster. Like, we get this montage of him just, like, falling apart. Until eventually he amasses an army, and then the rest is history. He goes to war with, the humans and the centaurs. Because at this point, he, like, doesn't care anymore. He knows he can't have the woman he loves, so he's just out to just destroy. He just wants to destroy everything. And, you know, he kills Womawing's family, as we found out. He's led on this endless war. But then eventually, in the middle of nowheres, in the rift between the two worlds, the general confronts him, and they're like, what are we gonna do? And then the princess shows up, and is like, oh, I know how I'm gonna end this, and uses the key to separate both the worlds. 4 of the pieces go into the Centaur world, 1 piece goes into the human world, the princess is stuck in the Centaur world, the general is stuck in the human world, and the Nowhere King is trapped in, the nowheres, right in the rift. That's what happens, because her solution is not to, like, combine them or whatever, but just to, trap the Nowhere King in the gate. Her solution is basically to, like, just hide away the problem and hope we never have to worry about it again. That's my interpretation of it anyways. Like, that was her solution. Just lock away the problem and never worry about it. And that's basically where the end of the Nowhere... Because, then that picks up where the show starts off. Where season 1 is, with the rift. And now they're stuck between the two worlds. So that's where the Nowhere King's memory ends. And Horse is finally... Because, by this point, the Nowhere King and all the armies have woken up. And the Horse is finally able to get out of the Nowhere King's head and goes to Ryder and tells her, like, hey, this is gonna sound crazy, but you gotta trust me. If we kill the general, we kill the Nowhere King and end the war. Because they're linked. And Ryder's like, that's crazy. I don't believe you. You're just a horse. And it just rips your heart out, man. But Horse goes to kill the general and fails. Then Ryder, because this entire time, the general has been like, no, we can't kill every Minotaur, but we can't, kill the Nowhere King. Which, of course, you realize why he's saying that. Also, at some point, all the centaurs come, like, all, like, the cat tars and whatnot come through and start fighting all the Minotaurs as well. But, so Glendale has freaking C4 in her tummy portal, and so they're using, like their arrows tipped with, like, flaming marshmallows that are actually C4. So that happens, and they're and okay, before we get to that, so that happens. There's a few other things I want to talk about with the battle. First off, Comfortable Doug shows up in the battle, and this is the one thing I liked about Comfortable Doug's this season. Is so he says that war isn't comfortable, so he instead has to take on a new persona, that being Flat Dallas, and like Comfortable Doug becomes like a cowboy for a little bit. And one of the only predictions I had for this season was that we were gonna find out what happens to all like the tiny versions of the characters that they shoot from their hooves, and we find out that they all go like underground, and Comfortable Doug becomes like a cowboy who rodeos all like the tiny versions of themselves, and he like leads them on a stampede. So that's one of the things that happens, and that's the one good Comfortable Doug joke. Again, Comfortable Doug works in moderation. Jebri is also here in the final battle, and he ends, and we see the inside of Glendale's tummy portal, and like at first it looks like just a normal room, and then it turns into like because I think it's Stabby's timeout room. I think that's a joke they made earlier in the season, but eventually we see like this giant, just like mountains of stuff inside Glendale's tummy portal, and Jebri finds his jacket. Right, we knew Glendale had the jacket from last season. Jebri finally finds his jacket, and then he wears it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm warm. I'm too warm," and he just lights on fire and freaks out and just like mows through the army. So those are two plot points that we get wrapped up, and they even make a joke about how like, oh, well, hey, it's good we wrapped up the point about the tiny versions of ourselves. So that all works out. So those are the 2 points I want to get to before we get to the actual ending. It's good we got both those points wrapped up, because, yeah, I like those points. And yeah, again, I like Jebri, and Comfortable Doug, in theory, I just think they overuse them this season. So Ryder gets a C4 arrow and goes to shoot it at the Nowhere King, and the general stabs her. Because, if the Nowhere King dies, she dies. Or he dies. So the general stabs Ryder. And it's... oh, fuck, man. I did not... okay, I will say this finale did not make me cry. Right? I always think a good finale makes you cry. You don't even have to kill off a character for it to make you cry. Right? Like, I feel like that's a common, like, thing where it's like, oh, well, if you kill off a character, that's the one way to make your audience cry. Fucking bullshit. You can cry at a happy ending. And no, it got close. Not this moment, not Ryder dying. That did not get me there. Right? That did not make me cry. But there is a moment later on that, like, got me close. But, so, right, Horse is like, no... right? Because everything Horse has been working for is to get back to Ryder, and now Ryder has been stabbed. Meanwhile, the princess comes in, confronts the general, and is like, yeah, I know the truth. I know you're part of the Nowhere King. And Becky Apples is the princess's horse, and Becky Apples kicks the general off a cliff. And, like, he falls off the cliff, and then we see the Nowhere King just, like, dying, and then it doves off into the cliff, and then the princess climbs down, and we get the last lullaby, which is because the princess uses the key to fuse them back into one, and we get the last lullaby, which is an inversion of the Nowhere King song, and it's so fucking well done. Oh my gosh, the last lullaby, oh, it's again, well, I don't know if I'd say the Nowhere King is a great villain, right? All of his motivation makes perfect sense. Especially, like, once you find out about the solitary confinement. Like, the broken heart's one thing. The solitary confinement, though, is totally, like, I get it. I kind of get it. Because, like, at that point, he just doesn't care anymore. And he just wants it all to burn. But the last lullaby at the end of... because he's technically not dead yet. But, he has to die. And the princess is going to be the one to end it. And it's just... oh my gosh. Holy shit, it's so well done. Just the music, the motion. And, like, you don't actually see it, but you feel it. Holy shit. And, yeah, that's the last lullaby. And then Ryder talks to Horse back up on top. And It's heartbreaking. Again, didn't make me cry, but it's heartbreaking. And then we cut to like a few months later, or a few days later, or whatever. A few days later, and they're all like sailing on like Water Baby's houseboat, and we find out Ryder's alive. They didn't actually kill, because it looked like Ryder's like head droops, and it looks like they die. Nope, they didn't kill Ryder. Fuck yeah. Like, you know, like they could have killed Ryder, but I really do think keeping Ryder alive makes the show better. Because again, the Nowhere King just died. You don't have to kill Ryder as well. I think keeping Ryder alive makes the show better. I call me a sap. This is the moment that almost made me cry. Is finding out Ryder was alive. That almost got me. Because again, you can cry again, as I've said before, I would rather end at a lesbian wedding than I would at a funeral. And you know what? The show could have ended at a funeral, and they didn't. It doesn't end at I mean, yes, Splendif and Zulius get together, so it doesn't technically end at a lesbian wedding, but you know, and then we get we find out at the end that, you know, they're gonna make Horse a shaman, because, you know, now the two worlds are connected again. They're gonna need someone to help regulate that, so they make Horse a shaman, and yeah, that's where the show ends. We get like a brief overview of like where everyone is in Centaurworld now. Like, where are they now? We find out the princess is staying in Centaurworld. Zulius is together again with Splendip. We get a bunch of other things that they were able, while they didn't unfuse that one bird tar who got turned into a monster. He's back with all the other bird tars. We get a few other wrap-ups for finales and whatnot. And yeah, that's where the show ends. That's Centaurworld. So the finale's fucking amazing. That entire thing with the Nowhere King and getting his backstory is so good. It's so well done. But I have complicated feelings, okay? Because I think the first season is 10 out of 10 knockout. Fantastic. It's only an hour and... I think it's only an hour and 14 minutes. It's not movie length, but it's close to it, because I think movies are like... I think the shortest movie that counts as a movie is an hour and 20 minutes, if I remember correctly. But no, that hour-long finale, oh my god. Because it's 3 episodes in one, basically. But it more than makes up for it in the end. It's so good. But, with the first season, I think, is super strong. First season's fantastic. Second season, I just didn't like as much. I think, for the most part, it's just kind of meandering around. They do a critic attacking episode. I just don't... Yeah, and Womawink deserves better. In the Bird Tar episode, they shit on her constantly, and I'm like, no, Womawink's fantastic. Come on, show. The Cold Tar episode I didn't care for. Ballad of Becky Apples was whatever. The Memory one was decent. And the Hootenanny's good. Hold Tars is whatever. But, I don't think the second season is as good. But that finale is so good. I think... If it had just been one, let's say a 14 episode season. Let's say one 14 episode season. And the final episode is still an hour long, but it's just one 14 episode season. I felt like I think of, okay, so this is a bad analogy, but like a game like Portal. Portal is a 2-hour game. You can start and beat the game in 2 hours. Which is, for like some people, that's too short. But in that 2 hours, it's a perfect game because it does everything it wants in that 2 hours. Not a second is wasted. This Centaurworld could have been one 14-episode season without a second wasted, and it would have been perfect. But instead, they extended it to... 18 episodes? Again, with an hour finale... And I felt like they just kind of wasted some time in the second season. If they had just trimmed it down a little bit, cut out or maybe just shortened half the episodes, I felt like this could have been a perfect show. It's weird, but it could have been a perfect show. Right now, I feel like the first season is... And I'm willing to cut the first season some slack. I'm willing to... Yeah, without the burnt... Yeah. I'm willing to... Because, like, the first season spends some time, you know, meandering around. Like, that's basically the second episode. But, you know, they're just getting started. I'm willing to spend some more time not doing anything because we're establishing the characters. But by the second season, we know the characters. Or at least we know more about them. So some of the time they waste... I don't know. It just feels kind of pointless. But the finale is so good. Would I say it's my favorite show I've seen this year? Probably not. But I'd probably put it in second place. It's really good. Yeah, the second season kind of was not as good as I wanted it to be. But I still think the first season is really strong. And the finale is just really good. And it works so well. And I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I finally got to sit down. I'm glad I finished it. It took me almost a month to finish. Because I'm terrible at these things. But I'm glad I did finish it. It was more than worth it. It's such a good show. And it's surprising it's all done in a year. Could they do more? I mean, maybe, but they don't need to. They don't need to do more of this show. I think, like I mentioned Gravity Falls earlier. Gravity Falls is 2 seasons. They could always do more Gravity Falls, but it ends on a perfect note. Perfect enough, you know. Again, I just want a Rick and Morty crossover at some point, but that's just me. Because they keep hinting at it, and But, this show, could they do more? Sure. But they don't need it. It ends on a great note. Also, Ryder, I didn't say, but yeah, Ryder becomes like a little, like, she gets like pink hair, and that's kind of cute. But yeah, God, I loved this show. The first season just rides so hard in my head, where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And that finale is just, and yeah, so getting there kind of sucks. Like, the second season's journey is not great, but the payoff is so good. And there are good moments. All the Dirtleton stuff in the second season is very solid. Or at least, the payoff makes it solid. Like, once you realize what's going on with Dirtleton, it's like, oh, okay, this all makes sense. This is all great. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And I'm glad I watched it, because the only reason I watched the show is because an artist I liked on Twitter made some fan art of it. Yeah, an artist I liked on Twitter made some fan art, and I was like, there are shows, Hilda. Hilda is a show I've been meaning to watch for years now, and I just never have gotten around to it. But for some reason, just this show, just seeing like this fan art, I was like, you know, I guess I'm curious. It's only 10 episodes, sure. And I just picked to watch it. There are so many other shows I need to watch, and Centaurworld is the one I picked. But it's so good. And no, I haven't watched Hilda. I know, I'm terrible. I'm the worst. And I know they did that winter thing recently, and it's like, it seems so good, and I just never got around to it. Yeah, you know what? I get it. One day I'll get around to Hilda, but I'm the worst. I know. I'm such a Jeffica. Oh, God. Ooh, who are you, Rocky? Or Mickey, or whatever? Walt. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the show. And I'll probably watch it again at some point, and maybe when I watched the first season the first time, I really enjoyed it. When I watched it the second time, I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better. This is better than even I gave it credit for. And I really liked it at the time. And maybe when I watch the second season again, I'll like it more. Probably not the Bird Tar episode, because again, you can... It's just hard to attack your critics. Like, and nothing ever does it good. And that's not even me just talking about TV. Like, music. Like, Lady Gaga did a song attacking critics. Terrible. M. Night Shyamalan did... M. Night Shyamalan did an entire movie attacking critics. His worst movie. Roland Emmerich's Godzilla attacks Siskel and Ebert. Terrible. My cousin, after watching Mi Amo West Covina. No Mi Amo Glendale. Yeah, that was... I think the joke that comes afterwards isn't funny, but the actual joke of West Covina was really funny. The actual joke itself, especially once you find out it's not actually Glendale, that makes it even more funny. But the whole shoulder thing, I didn't really care for it. I don't know. The whole Tar stuff got on my nerves a little bit. But that's just me. Okay, so that's all I gotta say about Centaurworld. We talked about it for over an hour. So we've got 3 more tickets left. So we're gonna check out 3 more islands. And if I don't find anything, we're just gonna move on. We'll you know, probably tomorrow we'll try to bring in an amiibo villager or something. Or we'll see who it randomly gives us. Yeah. I could get more tickets as well. I just, you know, I've done, what, 30 plus tickets today? I think I'm good for the day. Plus, I got other things to do. I gotta go beat Pokemon. I'm at the Elite Four, and I just have to go beat that game. Oh god, I gotta beat freaking Chicory before tomorrow. Shit. I don't need any more tickets. Yeah. I should have just taken Phoebe. Like an hour ago. What did I say? I'm being super picky for a reason. No, I think I'm good. God, I have a lot to do before tomorrow. I gotta beat Pokemon. I gotta beat Chicory. I gotta play all of Spider-Man Miles Morales. I gotta start and finish that game in one day. Nah, I've given up on that. I gotta beat Chicory, though. I got it, because I haven't played it at all since I got back. And I really want to beat Chicory. Oh, another Cherry Island. We did not get a single... Through all my adventuring, we did not get a single rare island. Oh, Lucy. That sucks. You know what happens sometimes. I had to blow my nose. But yeah. Oh god, and then I still gotta finish that anime I was watching. Yeah. It's not as good as I remember it. Like, I remember it being funnier. But I'm gonna finish it. And then we'll probably talk about it next year. Alright. I think we got this ticket and one more after this. Alright. When was my package supposed to arrive today? I'm supposed to get a package today. The last I checked, it was just stuck in freaking California. Oh, we gotta open all these bottles as well. Maybe we'll get something good from our loot boxes. Oh, so I think the plan for me at the moment, though, is I think tomorrow will either be year in review. Oh, hey, it's you. You're one of the new ones, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, I don't. It's not my style. Yeah, we got one more chicken. So my plan tomorrow is I think we'll be doing video game related predictions for next year. I think that's the plan at the moment. So, like, we'll be going through Nintendo, Xbox, Sony, and looking at, like, what games they have coming out next year and, like, you know, thoughts on them and whatnot. I think that's my prediction for... I think that's my plan, anyways, for next year. Yeah, that... Yep, still in California. Supposed to come today. That's my plan for tomorrow. And then on the 1st, we'll do like a recap. So I'll recap, like, oh, what happened in the previous year. Oh, here's... Spoiler alert, Centaurworld is one of my favorite shows. But, we'll talk about a few other things. And then Game of the Year. We'll either do that on the 1st or the 2nd. Because I've got my Game of the Year list mostly written. Again, spoiler alert, I gotta finish Chicory. And I guess Pokemon. But yeah, and so yeah, that's the next, like, 2 or 3 days planned out. Octavian again? That's Octavian, alright? Oh, he's wearing a different jacket. Because last time he was just wearing his normal shirt. Of course, we ended off on Octavian. Used to be my favorite villager, man. Yeah. I mean, I guess we could invite Octavian back and just replace him. Nah. I'm gonna bring in an amiibo villager. Now, the question is, which amiibo villager do I bring in? We have in the running, we have I guess Petrie. I guess Petrie's in the running. We have I think their name is, it's not Lone. I think that's a capital I, right? So I think it's like Ion or something like that. That's option number 2. It's the squirrel with the starry tail. That's option number 2. We have Judy, Cephalobot, Dom, and Sasha. And that's all our options. And I guess Shino. So I've got a few options of who I can bring in. It's just, who do I want to bring in? Sasha's tempting. So is Judy. We had a chance to get Dom and I didn't do it. Because I didn't want to replace Lucky. Or no, it wasn't Lucky, it was Zucker. Ion's cute. Oh, Terra? Oh, they're also called Terra. That's interesting. Marlo's okay. We already have Sid and Audie. I don't know. We'll bring in somebody like that. I don't know. I'll think about it. Yeah, I'll think about it. Weirdly enough, I think I'm leaning towards, like, Sasha. Because I think they would be a good addition, but... I could totally be convinced of, like, I know, alright, I've had every other octopus. I should do Cephalobot, but... Yeah. I'm not too sold. Yeah, I'm also leaning towards Judy. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. But yeah, I know we didn't find it. Again, Phoebe was okay, or Phoebe, or whatever. They were okay, but I wasn't... Nothing really stood out to me, honestly. But yeah, I know we just talked about Centaurworld for like an hour and a half today, but that's kind of what I expected today to be. Yeah, we talked about Encanto as well for like 20 minutes. But yeah, I think that's where we're gonna end off today. I know we probably could have gotten more ticket. We could have bought more, and we could have gone and seen more things, but I try to keep these. Again, personally, the way I do Animal Crossing, I usually try to do for like an hour a day. I know we've done a few 4-hour days and whatnot, and we've gone longer, but I usually try to keep it around an hour. I know that's not great for stream analytics, because stream analytics wants you streaming like 8 hours a day, but again, I don't get paid enough to make this a second job. Not yet, anyways. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm glad we talked about Centaurworld. I've been waiting to do it, and I'm terrible, but I'm glad we did. Now I just need to make a Centaur Sona. Yeah, I'd be a bear tar. Gosh. There's no way where I look. Still love the show. Yeah, it's time for me to get to work with Pokemon. We're not actually. I'm not gonna end yet. We're gonna do one more thing. Just because I mentioned it earlier, and I won't have a better chance to show it off again. Where is it? Sea cucumber tar. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is something like there is a sea urchin in the show. Yeah, that is a thing that happens at some point. Okay. Okay. So, I'm loading it up real quick. We're not sure. I could totally do the Elite Four. We're not doing the Elite Four. So, this is what I was talking about earlier. This was my attempt at the Elite Four. I'm just going to show this off real quick. So, Elite Four, yeah, we're doing it. So, I start off with Skunk Tank, because it's got Flamethrower. Right? So, that's my logic. It's like, it's got Flamethrower. Oh, this will be fine. Super effective, right? This will work out. And fuck. That's the moment I knew I was fucked. Does it kill Skunk Tank? I know it switches out at some point. Then I go to poison the Heracross, and it flame orbs it. Oh yeah, Skunk Tank survives on like a single hit. And yeah, but it was burn. I think it kills Skunk Tank. I send out Lopunny. Bounce. Bounce kills it, which is good. I think Bounce does decent enough damage to this Beautifly. I'm able to kill the Beautifly with Headbutt. Then this Vespiquen. Because while I bounce, it gets off defense order to increase its defense. So that doesn't work. Then I end up getting... Lopunny dies. I send out Pachirisu. I'm able to paralyze it. But I'm just not doing enough damage. So Pachirisu, I think, faints. Yeah, Pachirisu faints. I send out Rampardos. Swords Dance it. And I think this is able to kill it. I think I missed the first time. But yeah, Head Smash. Able to kill it. So I get the Vespiquen out of the way. Dustox comes back. I'm able to kill it. I should have started with Rampardos. So this leads Drapion, which I think is their last Pokemon. I think it is. No, yeah, it is. Okay. So it kills Rampardos. I'm like, shit. Well, okay. I know it's weak to Psychic. At least it's weak to Psychic or Dark or something. I'm like, okay. I've got this. Iron Defense start off, so that way I can take a hit. Does it miss? It uses Night Slash and it misses. So I'm like, yeah, I've got this. It doesn't affect it. Yeah. Okay, so that was my fuck up. And then it kills it. It one-shots it with Night Slash. So I send out Atlas. It uses X Scissor. I use Earthquake. And I'm like, I've got this. I just got to survive an X Scissor or whatever. It's super effective. It critical hits. And that's it. I could have survived. If it wasn't for the critical hit, I could have survived the X Scissor. And that was it. Fuck. I knew I was fucked. And you can just hear me say it here in a minute. Like, just laughing. Because, like, I knew I was fucked. Oh my gosh. So that's my luck with Pokemon right now. Like, I can already see how, like, I can fix things. But, like, shit. And I gotta do that 4 more times. So, wish me the best of luck, people. Because I gotta beat this tonight. Oh, God. But I talked about that earlier, so I wanted to wrap up with that. But now I'm actually going to end off. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.